right, we're over here. Devoted husband and father. Garrett was briefly married as a teenager and waited until he was 31 to marry again, this time to seamstress Mary Ann Hassick. Mary was white, and both of their families opposed the marriage. Despite this, the marriage proved to be a happy and long one, lasting 55 years and producing 3 sons. In 1943, Morgan was diagnosed with glaucoma, an eye disease that eventually led to 90% blindness, but he continued to innovate, invent, and remain active in helping the Black community. His contributions have been repeatedly honored by naming public places after him, including an elementary school in Chicago, a public school in Harlem, and a water treatment plant in Cleveland. Even the section of his hometown where he was born, Claysville, was renamed Garrett Morgan Place. And in 1991, he was inducted into the Ohio Science and Technology Hall of Fame. Garrett Morgan died in 1963 at the age of 86, leaving behind a family that loved him, a community that admired him, and a world that greatly was improved by him. All right, we are at the final part of this text, so we're going to move back into it all. We're going to head into chapter 6, and this is the end of our story. All right, let's see what we've got here. Chapter 6. Ella and I were sitting on the front porch, soaking wet, when Mama pulled up to the curb. "This crazy list had me driving all over town," she said, as she got out of the car. "I had to go to half a dozen different stores." "It's okay, Mama," Ella said. Mama looked up at Ella, then at me. "Why are you two all wet?" "What broke?" "Nothing broke," I said. "Mr. Meidel squirted us with a super soaker. Did you know that a Black nuclear engineer named Lonnie Johnson invented the super soaker? Or that a Black woman named Alice Parker invented a heating system that can be controlled to heat individual rooms?" Ella said. "Though the Romans first introduced central heating in 100 CE, I added. "That's right," Ella nodded. "Tell her about John Lee Love." "Let me guess," Mama said. "He was Black." Ella and I nodded. "There's more," Ella said. "Lots more. Our whole house is like a museum of all these cool discoveries by Black scientists, only it's stuff that we use every day." "How did you learn all of this? Did you come across some old magazine article while you were cleaning?" "Mr. Meidel told us. He knows all about that sort of stuff." Mama stared at both of us for a moment. "Where is Mr. Meidel?" Mama asked. "Inside," Ella and I said at once. We followed Mama inside. But when we went in, Mr. Meidel was nowhere to be found. We called his name, searched the house, even looked in the backyard. His tools were gone. His ice chest was gone. It was as if he'd never been there. "That's kind of spooky," Ella said. "Well, he did tell me he could only work today. That's why he suggested that I have you two help him out." "He suggested we come here today?" I said. Mama nodded. "Herbie, come here." Ella was sitting on the stairs beside my journal. Across the cardboard cover, which before had just said composition, someone, Mr. Meidel, had printed, "What color is my world?" "Cool," said Ella. I liked it too, but I kept thinking about Mr. Meidel, about his name. Something about his name. I pulled up my cell phone, typed in a name, and did a search. An article came up with a photo. I stared. "Ella, look at this." I whispered. I held up the phone. Her mouth dropped open too. "What the heck?" Roger Edward Meidel, R.E. Meidel, spelled backwards, is Latimer, Ella said softly, and we both stared at the photo of Louis Latimer on my phone. Only the photo was also of Mr. Meidel. "Okay," Ella said, her voice suddenly sounding very scientific. "There has to be an explanation. He's like some great-great-great-grandson or something. Yeah, that's probably it." We looked at each other, and we knew that neither of us believed that, even though there was no way we could believe anything else. Could we? Author's note. One measure of America's greatness is its enormity of its impact on the world through the thousands of inventions that it's contributed. We have long been and continue to be a leader in scientific innovation. Unfortunately, many of the greatest American inventors have been ignored by history textbooks based on the color of their skin and their gender. Another measure of America's greatness is its willingness to right such wrongs, which is why I decided to write this book. By telling their unsung but vital contributions, I hope to celebrate these overlooked role models so that we can all appreciate one another in meaningful ways. I want to thank my co-writer, Raymond Opsfield, for his steadfast commitment to the subject matter and his constantly good ideas. He is so much more than my right arm. I also want to thank my business manager, Deborah Morales, for her vision and contribution in helping me establish myself in the world of children's publishing. She has constantly encouraged me to expand my world beyond basketball, with very positive results. Lastly, I'd like to thank my editors, Karen Lutz and Katie Cunningham, for their valuable guidance and for giving me the opportunity to be a children's author in the Candlewick family. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.